All right, it's Friday, September 2nd. This is end of the day, end of the week. I'll do a SPY recap, kind of recapping not only today, but really what on this week, what we're looking for coming into next week for the rest of the month and everything else. I'll recap some of the, this is the 15-minute chart. This is each day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I'll kind of highlight once again how I use pre-market, highs and lows as a range, how the price opens, and how that's kind of my trading methodology to kind of take the big picture of what I describe, daily chart, weekly chart, monthly chart, and how that then all translates into opportunities, on a very short time frame. And that's kind of my trading methodology, day time frame, day trading. But you could also, have good levels to monitor, if you have other trading time frames as well. But anyway, for today, you can see this ended up after the gap up today, big red bar. So we end the week with another big red Friday. That means, as long as we stay below the midpoint of this day, in the next trading session, look for a continuation lower. Then the question is, in the bigger picture, where are we possibly heading? I've made many videos this week talking about how, well, let's look, this is the weekly chart. If we make new lows into next week, we have this first target here on the weekly chart, and then these monthly kind of lows. And if I go to the monthly chart, if you've been watching all my videos this week, I've been talking about really since the end of August how this bar is failing. We failed this inside month bar, this green bar, that's an inside bar from that bar, and we failed to move up. We kind of took out two targets up here on the attempted breakout. When you fail like this, high probability you move to the bottom end of the range. The question when you get down there, is it just kind of a big range, or do you follow through even lower? But for now, until things change, and I've been saying this for days now, I'm still biased to the downside to head down to the bottom of that range. Now you might have little up moments in between, but those are usually good opportunities to look to re-short again on some basis, and that's kind of how I use each day. I kind of look at the where we are relative to the prior day. I look at the pre-market highs and lows, and then I look at how price opens, and putting all that together, that tells me whether we're having a kind of a counter trend move, or we're more in line with the big picture expectations to head lower. So anyway, going into this week, just to recap it really quick, we had a big down day Friday last week, and that usually means you're going to follow through in some fashion to the downside when you see these big bars, especially coming off these highs. And it was more, we had a little push down, but then this was just a collapse. So, we stayed below the midpoint of that bar in that week, all week this week, and headed lower. We had kind of a pause day on Monday, good down days for these 2 days, bit of a reversal day yesterday. And then when that's gapped up today, and we kind of took it, when you have a gap up or a two up day, kind of taking out the high of a previous day, you kind of look to broaden out as your first target. Either you're going to get there and maybe even higher than that, on the broadening action upside before you reverse, or in some cases you start at a two up day, you never even reach your target. That gives you even more confidence to get short once things turn around on a short-term basis. But anyway, today we did happen to reach that first target. We broadened out there, and I had a whole bunch of videos I shot today. You can go back and look at them. The opening video, and they were all live, a couple of then updates during the day, just explaining how I was looking for a red to green move to start, because, we're above the midpoint of yesterday. We had opening price action here, the high and low of these two blue lines was the range. And at that point, when you start near the top, you come down a little bit. You haven't broken through the low yet. So you look for a red to green move, which I described in live. It was forming. Then we got the follow through to take out the intraday highs and kind of the pre-market highs. And I discussed here how at this point, this is a key moment. Do we just kind of continue higher? And maybe this bar, at that moment, this bar, the daily bar was green and heading up. And maybe we're going to this target and this target. And maybe this weekly bar at that moment was going to, turn to green and have a green looking week to end the week. But what happened was we just paused here. We never got, that's this upper blue line to turn the weekly bar green. It never reached there. We pause. At that point, you got to be cautious, because you're still, again, go back to the big picture. You're looking, that, given this bar on, you always know at any moment you could be heading lower. So when we failed here and we started down, I shot a video saying this is a time, that you kind of felt there was failure to the upside, getting back down with the trend. At that point, once you get short here, you look to take out the intraday lows first, then you look to take out the pre-market lows as your targets, and you kind of see how it reacts to that, and then it just kept going. And obviously, at that point, you're looking at the midpoint to yesterday. We got below there, and we end up with this green, bar. So in other words, when you're getting short here on the failure, you have your various targets given, what price action has developed for you. So this was a big, target one, intraday low, pre-market low, midpoint of yesterday. You see if you kind of hold there. And if you get all the way through there, we just didn't ran out of time. You kind of hit the lows of yesterday. We didn't quite get there, but given the failure that was developing and the way we shot through those other, very short-term targets, it wasn't, and given the strength of the trend on the downside, it's not surprising that we closed, a very red or big red today. So bottom line, this is my approach, to trading. Again, I look at the multiple time frames, daily, weekly, monthly charts. I develop my expectations there, but then I kind of use each day, same thing, intraday, pre-market highs and lows. I watch how price opens. That's the key to everything to me. That's because I believe the high and low of a session usually is early in the session. Today, this could have been the low of the day on bar 3 if we would have continued higher, but as it turns out on bar 5, we hit the high of the day and we went lower. So, again, early in the session, one way or the other, you're usually going to get your high or low. And that's why I base all my structure and my, kind of what I'm looking for each day based on how, when that high and low forms early in the session, relative to, are we taking out highs and lows of the previous day? Are we holding midpoints of the prior day? Anyway, you can go look at all my SPY videos, the open videos I make and the closing recaps and get a feeling for the way I do things. And again, if you're wrong, if you're taking, very short-term trades using my structure, again, let's say I got in here long on the red to green move. I would have been wrong if we came, down and took out, and this bar, the midpoint of that bar started moving to the lows. I would have taken a very quick loss. So, that's the way, if you make a call like that, red to green, buy early in the session, looking for a continuation higher. If it doesn't immediately follow through, I get right out. So my losses are always small, and generally, I don't know if I went over this during the, this week already. I guess I did. Well, maybe I didn't, but let me do it again real quickly. Again, I'm looking down all week. So today, this was a day where we kind of paused, didn't really break through the first bar high. We had a little push down, and then that didn't follow through. So let's just call that maybe a small loss if you would have went short in here with the downward bias from that big day on Friday, and then it moved up a little bit, but we closed near the lows. These 2 days were, Tuesday down big at the open, then a pause and a second push down. Same thing here. We gapped up, but still first move down. And I remember we were moving below the pre-market lows here to start with opening red bar. So you got short, one push down, two pushes down. This bar here, I was talking about how exhaustion risk is setting in. Once you come, you could still go short, but realize the momentum might not hold. And, in this case, we had, a little bit of choppiness. We still went down a little bit, enough to have some good trades, but it wasn't surprising when you failed on the second push down that we eventually then came above the first bar high and had a bit of an up day, and then we gapped up today. And again, we failed on the upward move and moved down. So to me, it's very easy when you kind of put this whole methodology together, to always know where you stand, to always look for the right opportunities. When you're wrong, the losses are very small. And when you're right, they're very nice. It's usually in line with where targets are on the daily chart or on the weekly chart. You know where those are. And a lot of times this intraday price action aligns with where price moves. And that's how you have a lot of nice trades when you're right. And the other ones, that you miss out on, as long as you stay disciplined and, kind of enter with price action, kind of near the first move of the day, and then maybe a secondary move. And that's all. I'm just looking for two kind of big key moves all day with any given stock. So, that kind of sums it all up in terms of what I do. It's just my own individual methodology. But in the meantime, you still have big picture expectations, but you're very flexible given how price works, when things, change and you get to the other side. So again, today, to me, final thought, it was very clear, at least to me, that, we were moving up on the day. We had a potential to turn this weekly bar green. But I wasn't surprised that when we reached our broadening target and I was watching price kind of coming up above that first bar high and just pausing, when I saw that big red failure to me, that was a clear sign that all my downward biases were now back in play. And that's why this, to me, was really the best trade of the day. And this buy, was not a bad. There were a couple of stocks that moved up early. So given the way I take profits and cut risk quickly, there was opportunities even here too. But knowing that we didn't really follow through higher was not a surprise to me. And then price action led me clearly that, something like this was developing. So anyway, red bar, we have a, 3-day weekend. We'll see what happens next week, but we're definitely anticipating at least testing lower here, going below, the weekly low, which are these two bars. That bar, then kind of we take out this target, which was very close to it. So that's very high probability going to happen, a little test low. Then the question is, we'll watch into next week. Do we start really moving down to the next target? And who knows, maybe by the end, maybe it's 1 week where in 1 week we get all the way down to that monthly low as I'm looking for. We'll just have to see where price action leads us. But that's a recap for today, Friday, September 2nd.